Yeah.
And we are live.
I'm confirming now on LinkedIn.
We're logging into LinkedIn here. And
also, somebody's got a real clicky keyboard.
yeah,
It's me.
Looks keyboard. It says we are not live yet on LinkedIn. Interesting.
It takes a second sometimes.
Yeah.
I was just doing a note that's going to capture like a transcript so we can repurpose some of this. I was typing in your guys' names so it knows that there's 3 speakers.
Cool. All right. Starting soon. Let's go.
I invited 50 to 100 people on LinkedIn yesterday as well, so not as many as Dan did.
And we are live. Awesome.
Yay.
Yay, we're up. We're up and running. All right. Thank you so much to everyone for joining. We are FutureProof You. You can visit our website at futureproof-you.com. Today is another AMA where we answer your questions. Please ask questions, whatever you got. Careers. We'd like to focus today on AI. We have Aaron with us today. Aaron.
Yeah, thanks for the intro, Dan. I just got back from a conference speaking to educators about AI, and it was very illuminating seeing where people are at going into the school year. And today's like maybe the biggest hype day ever in AI releases with the ChatGPT live stream in an hour from now, where they anticipate the next model is going to come out. And there's been a lot of crazy changes in the AI landscape just in the last week.
What are some of the learnings?
I say this all the time, and then I start to wonder if I'm right, and it gets reinforced consistently. The people building these tools have no idea how we're going to use them. So let's think of ChatGPT 5.0. We all think, it's designed to do this certain thing. It's really not. It's a canvas that people are going to use in different ways that even the people who developed it did not think of. I was on a live stream with a software company on Tuesday, and I told them how I use their product, and they were like, we never even thought of that. And it just reinforces that these are tools in the literal sense. So I always use the analogy when I speak of a hammer. The hammer does not limit what type of house you can build. Your skill set, your imagination, and the system in which you're working, you can create anything. Dan and I could have the same hammer and go build completely different houses. And in fact, the people making the hammer probably aren't the best to ask about how to make houses, because that's not what they do. And that's really what the tech companies are. They're giving us tools that we can go apply in our own domains of expertise. And so don't think that you need them to show you how to use it. There's this huge switch that you have to flip in your head that you just have to go figure it out and go wrestle with it and play with it. There's not always a tutorial or a README that's going to tell you how to use these things. You just have to use it alongside what you already do, and then you'll start to see things that maybe the people who built it didn't even think of.
That's great. I want to welcome our viewers on YouTube. Thank you so much for joining us from their YouTube live. You can find us there, FutureProof You, and the name of our podcast, which is F Yourself. So thank you to the viewers from YouTube joining us today. John, what's new with you?
Nothing much. Been doing a lot of AI stuff lately as my company's exploring more and more use cases. And I had the same thing happen, Aaron, where right now we have a vendor that is kind of taking part of my little AI tech stack and doing some of it. And it's nice because it pulls everything right into our applicant tracking system. However, it doesn't have some of the use cases that I already use it for. So I was explaining to the customer success person how, I like to take snippets of my candidate conversations and create short form content whenever I provide some kind of advice. And she was like, oh, I didn't even think about that as a use case. I'm like, Recruiters hate creating content, and they all know they need to create more. You're the one who taught me a lot of that, Aaron. And so like she was like, okay, I see that. And I'm like, yeah, just you should probably make me like a brand ambassador. I should probably have discount codes and start talking about it on social media because it is a great tool. But I'm sure they'll add more AI agents. They have an inbox agent that we're learning more about too. So fun stuff there. And then I've actually been using Perplexity to tell me how to use Perplexity to automate lead generation, and it gave me a step-by-step guide on how to do that. And it's a bit intensive, but I'm going through and actually building a lead engine using Perplexity right now. That should be interesting. The question will be as if I can, what sort of ways I can get it to be really fruitful. But it's amazing what you can do. I didn't even, half the stuff that I already do is shocking to most people. And now it's like the way that spaces can reference other spaces and then create a master sort of space is really interesting. And it should be, I'm slowly doing this as a side project after normal work hours. So it's taking a little bit of time, but I can't wait to see the output.
Yeah. Can you imagine a hammer that taught you how to use it?
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Or like a watch that taught you how to use it better. That's just never existed until AI, where ChatGPT can help you get better at using ChatGPT. You can just ask it.
Yeah. It's like the clip from
Only it's
early Windows. Helpful.
It's actually helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you, Dan? What's new in your world, and what changes have you been seeing? What shifts?
Well, I went to this conference last week down in Orlando for Ascend, the Asian American Professional Networking Group. AI was a big theme, right? And I think that there was about 2,300 people there. Got to do a lot of networking and really helping some of the early careerists and even mid-careerist people, think about how they can market themselves. With their personal brand. I don't expect the early careerists to have a good handle on networking. And so I was part of a session there, which was, I think, eye-opening to a lot of people on the power of networking and asking for the order, right? And just saying, hey, can you keep me in mind? I'm really interested in X, Y, and Z. And I thought that was really fruitful for me and other people, right? To be able to help people. I thought it was great. What I was also in a session talking about emerging trends, and the one consistent theme was use AI to help you think about emerging trends, right? And the presenter, he gave a great prompt, and really looking at granular news data, right? And helping you think about what are the growth industries in the future. So I thought that was pretty interesting to see a presenter who his job is to be the innovator within a large organization. And so having him talk about the things that he does, practical applications of using AI, I thought it was great to see that.
What was the best question you got asked in your panel?
How often should I network?
Do you ever not network? I've been at a tailgate party with you at a football game and you're networking. So I imagine you're like, it's just a mode that you live, right? I mean, you're at the gas station, you can network with the cashier. You're in line at the grocery store, you can network there authentically, right?
My wife makes fun of me. She goes, you can make friends with a paper bag.
Oh, good old baggy.
Oh yeah, it's like Clippy. So yeah, she definitely makes fun of me, and because she sees it in action all the time. And but yeah, so every day, it's just getting reps in, really, right? So just like doing anything, you're going to suck at it because it's new to you. So how often should you do it? Do it all the time so that it eventually becomes easier for when it does count.
I mean, I would also venture to say you're always networking regardless of whether or not you're doing it intentionally, right? And so the question is there a difference between doing it well on a regular basis or just not paying attention because you're not thinking about what your social network is reflective of? And I live in a neighborhood. People in my neighborhood are part of my network. They might not be people who I work with from a day-to-day perspective, but maybe I volunteer with somebody, or maybe they're interested in something similar socially as I am, and we find that we have mutual interests. It's the same thing. It's just the difference between a business context and not. And sometimes people don't realize that can be a very blurred line.
Yeah, and I think the failing, right, that people, the trap that people fall into when they're networking or they're not networking is that they think that there should be a transaction that happens. Like, I want to pick your brain, right? Can you give me a few minutes? I need some advice, right? And I think real networking happens when it's when there's no points that are being counted, right? There's no real value exchange until there is some value to be exchanged, and then you can be more authentic, right? And play the long game. And then it won't seem so skeezy when you're just always asking for advice, always asking for something.
It could stop being a dirty word because it's just an approach to having conversations versus anything else.
Yeah. And when you take timing out of it, right? It's exactly that. When you take timing out of it, then it becomes way more authentic. And you can actually add value first, right? Hey, how can I help you? So Aaron, you're about to go back to school, right? And,
I am. Yep, 2 weeks.
Excited?
It's a mix of emotions. It feels like going to a funeral and a wedding at the same time is how I describe it.
Oh boy.
Yeah. I was going to say for the audience, since Dan just got back from a conference, I just got back from one 2 days ago. If you have a question about networking there, talking to Dan before FutureProof You even started, he gave me a PDF and said, hey, before you go to this conference next week, Aaron, you should do this thing. It's called Conference Commando. If you haven't read that, one, you should. Secondly, if you're that person who goes, I go to conferences, but what's that mean to network? Like, what are the strategies? Because I agree with John, you're networking, whether you do it intentionally. Maybe we could call that passive networking. You walked around with a name tag and ran into some people, but that's probably not going to be super fruitful. You got to have a system and an approach. And one of the things Dan taught me about networking is it's don't keep score. And I didn't realize this until I would help people and everybody's response would be, oh yeah, now that you did that thing for me, let me do this for you. And it almost felt weird to me because they thought I helped them purely to get something from them. And since Dan is truly the networking expert, the conference commando of decades, he had a great post about the golf versus the wine crew at a conference that I just saw this morning. What advice do you have for people who are like, I want to network and I want to help, but I don't want it to feel transactional? Because it seems like 98% of people I network with, it's like, oh, you scratched my back, let me scratch yours, instead of just, I don't know, I just made an intro because I knew that guy could help your company, or I knew she would be a good fit for what you're looking for. How do you handle when people are transactional for you when you help them, Dan?
Don't let it bother you, number one. But then set your boundaries. Right? Set boundaries. I had a call actually this morning. Someone who I've known for a bit, and they asked for some advice. And this was the second time that they've asked for advice. Great, happy to help them. And they said, "Oh, I'd love to be able to reach back out." I'm like, well, I think I think now going forward, it's time you became a client. There's a lingo or a kind of like a vernacular in financial services. It's rule, whatever. You would have a rule based on something, and I don't know. I came up with this years ago, but like rule NFS. So
Yeah.
rule no free shit, right? And this person wants to reach back out again. You know what? I think it's time you become a client, because we can really, and I say it in a positive way, because we can really dive in deep into some of the things that you need, and get some real work done. And they thought, oh wow, okay, yeah, all right, I'm going to think about it. So rather than just asking cursory questions, I think much more satisfying for all parties involved is actually getting real stuff done. So that can only happen with having boundaries and good fences make good neighbors type of thing.
Yeah, I've made my default response if I help somebody with something, and they always go like, well, what can I help you with, or what do you need? I always say the Dan line. I just say, hey, I don't keep score. Like, I'll let you help me, but I don't expect you to.
Yeah.
And that shift, like, I just see those interactions differently since you've taught that through FutureProof You. It's not about keeping score, and sometimes the score will even out in ways you never would have thought years later that you come out ahead. So you can't be a tit for tat person that's like, oh, I have to do this right away for you in exchange for that thing.
Yeah, I was actually on a conversation this morning, a different conversation this morning, where this person was saying, oh, they're really so thankful for this thing that they did, right, with the company. And I'm like, and they're no longer part of the company. And I said, what would be awesome is you still have such a great rapport with them. You should just drop by with donuts. At some random time in the future, just drop by with donuts and a box of coffee. Right? What's 2 dozen donuts and a box of coffee going to cost you? But you have a really great rapport with them. Like they like you. It's just not the right time. That they'll never forget that. You came back and dropped off donuts.
Also, just randomly, the LinkedIn event did not start. The YouTube one did, just so you know.
Yeah, I was going to say, we should be getting some comments. I checked the YouTube and it's going.
Yeah, the YouTube's running.
Yeah.
I am the viewer.
Apparently there's a second link. So, we have another viewer. Oh no, that's probably you. But there's a second link on LinkedIn.
The one that's the actual event page is not live.
Yeah, I just noticed that.
Yeah.
So I haven't looked at LinkedIn.
Which is probably why it's quiet.
All right. Well, you're recording, right, Aaron?
I'm recording the audio as a transcript. I am not capturing the video.
But the LinkedIn captures the video.
Yeah, the LinkedIn does capture the video.
Okay, I see. We do have a live version of it, but no one has clicked into that, I don't believe.
Yeah.
So did we duplicate?
Yeah, I think we accidentally.
I think there's a technical hop that has to happen with Restream, so it's not as elegant as whatever the platform.
StreamYard.
Yeah. But at least we're it's one of those. If it sucks, nobody's going to see it anyway, right? So
that's right.
Yeah, let me see. I mean, Dan reposted it.
Yeah, I did repost it.
I am on the FutureProof You AMA, the AI first mindset for your career. It says starting soon. Wait for the host to start.
And I did put a comment in there. We're on a different link.
Can we? Yeah, I don't know how to do that. I'll let you handle it because I'm.
Yeah, we can kill this one. Oh, I was able to on the live link. The original was working. Oh, that's right. The original was not working. Okay. So
can we re-pipe this one into the one we invited all the people to?
I just put in the comments again the new link just in case.
I just think that's extra friction. I don't know. Maybe there's not a way to do that, but
yeah, I don't know how to go back to the
I don't
original.
know. I don't know why Restream is doing this. So, Karen, good to see you. Thank you so much for joining. Karen, what's going on with you? Would love to hear how your progress is going. You on the last call, you were on the last AMA, you were making some good progress on your front and getting out there and networking.
I'll see if I can repost under my personal LinkedIn, the working LinkedIn Live.
Yeah, I see us live on Dan's feed now. It's very awkward, actually.
So weird. John,
I had to get away from it.
John, any travel plans for the rest of the summer?
No, I have weddings and birthdays, and it's just a weird time of year.
Yep.
I just got back from a wedding that Dan couldn't go
Keep it
to.
all in before summer it ends. Yep. So.
Yeah, and then one in the fall.
I just reposted under my name and said join us with questions about AI first mindset and
I did the same.
Perplexity comment code giveaways in the chat. Since after giving Dan one, let's see what I'm down to. I'm running out. I only have 88 left.
Oh my goodness.
No.
Only 88.
I will be playing with that this afternoon. Cannot wait for that. Karen's got a question here related to AI. Do you have suggestions or resources for diving into AI ethics? So not just AI, how to use it, but the implications.
Yeah. Well, first of all, that's why I tell teachers and professors in the humanities why they must get involved in these conversations, because the developer, tech, coder, engineer people don't think about the implications of what they're building. They're just like, I had a product sheet that said to build this feature, so I did. The humanities people throughout all of history have said, well, we can do it, but should we? Or is that how we should use it? And what I found in my niche, which is education, there are some people in the legal space who are teaching live classes, courses, maybe even writing books about the implications of AI in the legal space and education. One of my favorite LinkedIn connections who I've become friends with is a professor in California. And one of her big things she talks about is just the ethical applications of it. So my advice to the LinkedIn user is find somebody who's creating content in that niche about AI ethics, because whatever it is, even if it's, I'm going to guess it's product marketing, that's one. There's somebody who's tweeting about it, LinkedIn posting about it, TikTok, YouTube, whatever. Follow them, learn from them, see what resources they share. The other one is, I think you just need a framework to view it. And what I always think of is, if I had a virtual assistant or an intern, would it be ethical if I gave them that task and then turned around and gave it to my boss and said, look what I did? It's, one, would you trust the task to the person? And two, would you just submit it without looking at it? Would you take credit for it yourself? So say you had an intern write a draft of a proposal, you tweaked it, sent it up the chain, and they're like, wow, that's such a great proposal, Aaron. What I say on there, my intern, Susie, helped me with the rough draft. What I need to be transparent about that, because if you're using AI, I created a paid, we'll call it like a proposal. I used AI, it didn't write it for me, but I said in the credits, I was like, these are my resources. I had a list of links that I consulted, and you can put in there, like, I used ChatGPT to help me brainstorm, or I used Google Gemini to proofread for spelling errors and grammar. Just like you would if I had an editor for my book, I would give them a credit in the front and say they helped me revise the 3 drafts of my book from the first copy that was terrible to the finished product you see today. Then you should do the same with AI. And one of the things that I feel shifting in education is the chat GPT shaming. So where people are transparent about using AI and then they're belittled or made to felt inadequate, like, oh, you needed AI to do that, or you cheated because you used AI. That's why people don't share. They don't want to get judged. And I'm a big fan of, no, just be honest, because you'd be surprised how many other people first say, well, I could tell you use AI. And secondly, they go, oh yeah, you're smart. You should use AI. Because if it's an important task, why wouldn't you use the best tools you have available? Like if you had a great assistant and you didn't use them to help you with a task, you're not a good employee. That would be inefficient use of your resources. AI is no different. You had a calculator and you try to do long division in your head and you slept through 5th grade math, like you're not a smart person. Just use the calculator. Maybe say, hey, I used the calculator on this. Oh, good. That shows you value the outcome. Use the best tool available.
Yeah, it's funny. I think the culture that we've all been raised in is like, show your work, right? And footnote, and then now, there's this other way to do the work, and I think there's some apprehension, right, about being transparent, but I think transparency wins, right? Like just being open and honest and owning it. That's totally cool.
Yeah. And don't you guys agree when you see and hear things that you have a fairly well calibrated AI detector? Which would be better for the person? So let's use LinkedIn because we're all on it too much. You can tell when people use some sort of a default AI output. Which would you prefer in terms of your opinion of that person's competency and ability levels? They did the AI output and they have no disclosure or transparency around having used AI, or same output at the bottom, they put an asterisk and they say, I used ChatGPT to help me format my post.
I mean, it's pretty obvious when somebody is using ChatGPT to make a post on LinkedIn. It's pretty obvious.
Gotta love the emoji.
Yeah, the emoji, the 3 check marks, M dashes, whatever. Like, I don't really care about M dashes, but like, it's pretty obvious. So just say, AI, help me think about this. What's wrong with that?
Yeah.
It's also, do you have something compelling to say regardless, right? Did you have a good enough idea to prompt AI to post something engaging, or is it just something stupid? Well, it's like there's some people today on LinkedIn, they're not using AI, but they're posting polls that don't really matter. No, not like yours.
In a day.
No, there's a gentleman who's posting polls every day and they're just not good. And some of them are like false choice equivalencies, like, and you're like, it'd be like, would you rather eat razor blades for breakfast or charcoal for dinner? And I'm like, I won't do any of those things. So why am I doing a forced choice poll? I'd rather not see this poll anymore. I'm going to unsubscribe. Thanks.
Yeah, other. Right?
Yeah. One of the ways that I do that, and I encourage teachers, that was part of my talk on Monday, was in your syllabus, do you tell your students how you use AI? No, I don't know every teacher and professor in the world. I haven't seen too many that do that. I started doing that last year. And then the whispers of kids going, did he use AI on that? Does he use AI? I was like, yeah, it's in the syllabus. It says this about feedback and this about content and this about your teacher. And ironically, guess what? I ask kids to be transparent in my syllabus. When you use AI, you put a disclosure statement, a link to your chat. So I'm asking them to do it. Why wouldn't I reciprocate? So if they go to my boss and say, oh, he's using AI in this, I go, yeah, it's in the syllabus. My boss approved it. I don't know if you read it, but he approved it. And it takes the air out of the balloon, right? So if you, in the business world, if you have a conversation with your supervisor and say like, are you good with me using it in these ways? And I'll be transparent around which work was 100% organically me and what part of it that the AI was assisting with. I don't know too many in the business world that just say, oh, no AI. And by the way, the ones that aren't going to have a job in the next 2 to 3 years because they will have been replaced. They're going to continue to use the horse and the tractors are going to blow by.
Yeah. Yeah. I actually spoke to somebody that worked for a company a couple of days ago, and they don't use AI, and they're actually actively discouraged to use AI. And I said, I think it's time for you to go find a new job.
Yeah, because you're going to get you're going to let your skills
Yeah. Toast.
lapse.
Yeah.
Yep. And one of the weird paradoxes, I think history tells us this about new technologies, is your ability to utilize it insulates you from being replaced by it. And your shunning it and refusing to learn it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy that you're the first one on the list to be replaced by it because you don't know how to utilize it. Imagine someone in the business world that says, I refuse to use the internet. Like, well, that's not an option. Or a teacher that says, I won't use an electronic grade book. That was a new technology at one point. I only do paper pencil. Well, parents want the app on their phone to see their kid's grade. You have to do it. So if you aren't figuring out how to leverage it, you're going to be the first one to be made worthless and replaced by it.
Was there a pushback when they were implementing the electronic blackboard, whiteboard?
Absolutely. And the grade book and Google and Wikipedia and Chromebooks. It's exactly the same thing we see with AI today. It's like the same exact arguments repeat themselves over and over. And we always look back and go, how did we adopt to Google search and Wikipedia? A lot of history teachers banned it and said, you still will be tested on memorizing facts, names, dates. Okay, good luck getting a teenager excited to come into your class to do a thing that Google and Wikipedia can do for free from their phone in 2 seconds. That doesn't mean those are irrelevant. It just means that can't be all that you do. You have to do something else. And I think that's the interesting thing about AI. If you're unskilled at a task and use AI, it just exacerbates how much you suck at it, right? It's like one of those mirrors at the fair in the where you walk through and it distorts your features. Like if you're a bad marketer and you use AI to do marketing, you're just pumping out horrible stuff that anyone with the skill goes, that lady does not know what she's doing. However, if you have the fundamentals and the skills and the experience and you layer AI on top, people like, how do you do all of that? Or how did you do it so fast or so proficiently? You're like, well, I know my content and I know my tool and I just combine those. So like most technologies, it makes skilled people even better and it makes unskilled people even worse.
So be good at the thing you're good at. It's supposed to be good at.
Yeah.
Then be pretty decent. You don't have to be amazing at AI. Just be pretty decent at it, and it'll make your day better.
Yeah. Well, and like, John, you tell me what you think. One thing I go back to all the time, I have this argument with people online and in person, is the most important skill around the AI is just knowing what good looks like.
Yeah. Well, it's the same thing. AI could be easily equated to things like media literacy, understanding what a false article looks like or a good source of information. You go back to your example with education. The most important fact that the most important thing we're supposed to be learning in school isn't to be able to recite facts, because we have ways of looking those up very quickly. It's to be able to look at things with a critical mind and understand how history has ebbs and flows that sometimes reverberate multiple times and have long-term impacts. The reason we learn history is to prevent history repeating itself, or to create history repeating itself for good or bad things, right? So it's like, it doesn't matter when someone landed on the shores of the US so much as what happened because of it. And that stuff is critical thinking, not facts. It's putting pieces together, and it's the same thing with AI. Getting the right stuff out of AI, and then also what do you do with it once you have it?
So good. Thank you, John. I want to just
So I went on a rant.
No. It's perfect. The analogies are really meaningful. I want to just remind the audience this is an AMA, so we've had a couple questions already. Please ask more questions. We would love to hear from you. So, what do you have on AI, on careers, job search, Aaron?
Can I bring up one that's kind of shifted?
Yes.
Buzzword, and I'm sure you guys have seen it in job postings if you haven't even hired for it, maybe. A shift from prompt engineering being a focus starting about a year ago, maybe that was a big word, to now people are starting to argue that it's actually context engineering over prompt engineering. And then there's pushback and people making jokes, what happened to all those prompt engineers that got 6-figure salaries to come in and teach everyone how to prompt engineer at a big firm 6 months ago? Are those still a thing, or have we moved to context engineering? To which the average person goes like, well, what's the difference? I don't know what that is. But what have you guys seen around that? And then I can share what I think.
I think it's going to change 20 times over before we get anywhere. And prompt engineering is more tactical of an explanation versus context engineering, or whatever other term you want. I think engineering in general with prompt engineering is a misnomer to begin with, because there's no engineering involved. It's really like having a dialogue with a machine, right? But there was prompting is already including context. It's just now people are trying to use more flourishy language to make it sound less tactical and more strategic.
Yep. I don't like that, Dave.
Yeah, I would say this. There, like an argument that I see that would be a prompt engineering topic. People say, what format should I prompt in? So one is just narrative, like just talk, just type a paragraph of plain text. And that's how 99.9% of prompts get put in, especially by normal people like us. But then there's always these people that say, no, you have to use a JSON format. So you basically have to write it like it's code with parentheses and colons and brackets and format it like code. And then some people say, no, you need to use markdown format. So you're using like the hashtag as an H1 header versus an H2 to just format it differently. And then there's some people that say you need to use XML tags. So you put like a greater than, less than sign. That's a tag for a piece of text. The reason I bring that up isn't to say those are good or bad. That's what prompt engineering people argue about or teach people at their firm to do. And context engineering kind of says, and this is true, it doesn't actually matter which format you use. What gives you the best leverage on the output is how well you provide and remove context, because people forget you can also prompt for what you don't want, especially in a text format. That works really well. Video and imagery, not so much. It's like telling Dan, don't picture a pink elephant on the screen. I was like, oh, now I can't not see it. But with text, you can offer guardrails like no bullet points or no vocabulary above a 6th grade level. That's more what context engineering is. And I think of context engineering is adjusting the focus of view, right? Like on your camera, are you going to use the 0.5 selfie lens or the 1x or the 5x that you really zoom in on, and which one's going to give you the best output? And it's less about formatting and JSON versus XML, which in my experience doesn't really change. It just makes people sound smart, and then they start hype around a thing and then sell you a course on how to learn it.
Well, we've sold courses around how to use AI, and you can learn more about them at futureproof-you.com. But we will not teach you those kind of really technical ways of prompting. I think as you say, it's the context engineering. We are we're happy to teach you that all those things. So
Yeah, well, we'll teach you what actually moves the needle. How about that? That was a very risky transition, Dan. You're the only one who could have pulled that off.
hey, we're all about transparency, right? We've talked about transparency here. Might as well be transparent about what we do offer, and we're here to answer your question. So to the audience again, I could see that we have a few people in the audience now. Love to hear your questions about careers, job search. Every day we see more layoffs. We just see more and more layoffs from companies. Companies are slowing down their hiring due to AI. I think it is also the summertime, so it might be a little bit of knee-jerk reaction to that. It is slow in the summer, and things will pick up going into Q4. John, what trends, seasonal trends, do you normally see being a recruiter?
Yeah, typically these next couple of weeks tend to be torture for people trying to get a job. It's usually a lot slower in comparison to much of the year. It's that last chance to get in a vacation before school starts.
Mm-hmm.
Some people have kids going off to college. Some people just aren't there mentally. They're just on summer break. But usually what we see is a big uptick in September through the remainder of the year, with a slight slowdown near Thanksgiving, and then the holidays, a complete and utter halt.
Yeah.
But usually it's a fire sale until then. So, usually people are putting out offers. They don't want their budgets to get canceled for the next year. And so they do their most hiring typically in this coming season.
Use it or lose it. There's a lot of that towards the end of the year. I also think that if you're trying to get into a company that has European like offices, or maybe it's a European-based company, a lot of the people from the continent and from the UK, they go on vacation for a month.
Yeah.
Right. So, it's very typical that companies may just not be present. So they're not you. They're just not.
A lot of startups too. Also, even in the US, do a shutdown in the summer.
So, Aaron, you've got a couple weeks left before school, and then everything starts picking up again. And John, we've got a couple. As recruiters, we've got a couple weeks left before it starts getting picked up again. So, happy to do this for the audience, that we're here to help you.
I say this, and I onboarded 3 searches this week, so
that's true. Actually, so I onboarded.
So, just because the seasonality sometimes exists doesn't mean other places aren't serious. It's just if you're not seeing momentum, it's probably not you. It's probably them.
Yeah. But to that end, right? It's important to stay in front, right? Politely, how do you say politely nudge?
Politely pester. Politely pester.
Hi,
just trying to get ahead of your calendar.
Right. Hey, just want to make sure. Yep, absolutely.
Just trying to be helpful.
What about this? On the searches that you guys have been a part of, say in the last quarter, has there been an uptick or a downtick, or maybe just flat on AI first hires, or questions in the interview about how would you integrate AI, or do you have experience scaling it across our industry? What are employers looking for, and how is that changing around the AI skills that their potential employees bring?
Yeah, I would say from my experience, a good solid 25% are looking for experience with AI. Now I work in product, so product managers working for companies with AI experiences is one of the qualifications for a lot of the things I've been working on. Another 25% wants people who are leveraging AI in their work. And then I think there's still a bottom 50% that I've noticed that don't even talk about it whatsoever. They're not there yet. They're not even ready to start the conversation.
Now, do you think that's a limitation for the bottom 50? Like, is it a limitation of the role, or do you think it's just the limitation of potentially the hiring managers? What do you?
It's the lack of knowledge around AI being a force multiplier for employees. Yeah.
And so if somebody is learning AI or becoming more versed in AI or even well versed in AI, what's a good thing that they can do to talk about that learning for their personal brand?
Have a case study. Have case studies. If I were trying to leverage the AI work that I was doing to try and find something, I would create case studies around how I improved XYZ processes, even if it's just for me. Even if I'm saving 4 or 5 hours of my time, what's that mean I could be doing? I could be finding more candidates. I could be doing more business development. I could be having more fruitful conversations instead of admin. And so any company would love to know that their one recruiter is more like 1.5, but then to know that that person's capable of training the rest of their employees to do the same thing is, really helpful. And so anyone in any particular field, like we always say, be the expert in your space first, because you're really going to stand out compared to everyone else. And then you find that one person in your team who is probably the most likely convert. You figure it out, then you convert them, then they tell everybody how you save them so much time, and eventually you become Mr. or Mrs. AI in your team.
And so writing that case study, then how would you then publicize that?
Yeah, I would include it in my jobs. I would post it on my LinkedIn. I might even have a website.
I would create content around it,
That
anonymize the company or the employee you helped and just say, here's something I did with the sales team. We went from X revenue to Y. And then it's a listicle, the 5 steps in order that we used AI to help us scale our sales revenue from X to Y. One that I saw that was new, somebody sent me a job posting and I bookmarked it. I haven't seen this ever. You guys look at way more job postings than me. There is a box. This is for a product marketing manager. So totally typical role that John would be trying to help fill. And it asks for your current company, your role, all this stuff. Your LinkedIn, that's very common. People who think your resume is more important than your LinkedIn. Dan will tell you which one gets more views. Definitely your LinkedIn, even if you're a LinkedIn creeper that barely posts. But there is a box. I don't know if you guys can see this.
We can't.
It's not focused. For your personal website.
Mm-hmm.
I have not seen that. They're basically saying, give us your personal brand.
Yep.
It's very common for creatives in general to have that.
Yes, for creatives, not so much for high school history teachers. I will give Aaron a plug. So his website, aaronmakelky.com. Your blog is very rich, even though you haven't posted it in a little bit, but there's a ton of examples there on content and use cases and lots of knowledge dropping. So,
which, by the way, one of the things I've been doing a lot this summer is a new job. I think I've shared some real listings, at least with John and Dan. Vibe coding. Companies have hired vibe coders. They've hired agents instead of humans. If you're somebody who goes, well, I don't know how to make a website, but I see I'm a creative and a marketer maybe, and they keep asking for personal website URLs. Go get on Lovable, Replit, Bolt. My son is 11. He doesn't really know how to code at all. He vibe coded a website to reinforce math facts. So it's sort of like digital flashcards. You get points for how fast and how accurately you answer them, and then you can spend the points in a tank mini game. And so if you get enough math questions right on your multiplication, you can go play a little mini tank game. If you had a developer build that pre-AI, that's like a couple months work and 40 grand to get a prototype. He sat on the couch with a laptop. He can't even type that well. I just taught him how to use voice to text. I use WhisperFlow. And you hold the function key and talk, and it'll format it, punctuate it, spell it. And he voice chatted with a vibe coding tool. And for $7, I think, we bought a domain. He has a working website. So if you're somebody who's like, I don't have the tech skills, I don't have the tech skills either, and I've made like 10 websites, find a platform. And if you don't know which one, DM me or go look at YouTube or LinkedIn. People are posting about this all the time, and you can go. I think I've said this before in our courses. I think one of the most important assets you can own is yourname.com. Now, if you're Brad Smith or John Miller, good luck getting that domain. If you're Dan Yu, I know Dan owns it. If you're Aaron Makelky, I don't think there's anybody else named that. I obviously have that domain. But then find, like Brad Smith Marketing or something, and go start building your portfolio where people can see it and it indexes in search engines and you can share it in your job applications. Vibe code it.
I love that idea, and I can't wait to see your son's LinkedIn profile with all the websites that he's created. By the way, how many John Lovigs are there?
Just me.
Yeah. Well,
Present.
and my kids' birthday presents in 2024 and my wife's was their domain, their name.com. My 11-year-old has a personal brand website. He built it all by himself, and it has his interests. It has an embedded Spotify playlist of his favorite soundtrack. And guess what? He doesn't know JavaScript. He doesn't know how to code. He doesn't know web stuff. He's just like, oh, this is the color scheme, and I want it to be about Legos and football and Guardians of the Galaxy. He wanted that soundtrack to be embedded. And I send that to people all the time. And I was like, when you're out of high school, at least you should have that. And then that becomes your archive. You're not reliant on algorithms or TikTok getting banned or wherever else you were posting stuff. That's your own digital real estate that you can do whatever you want with. I'm a little overboard, but macmakelky.com, seriously.
Yeah, I just went to his website. This is awesome.
He was 10 or 11 when he made that completely by himself with like 2 prompts.
So fun. So awesome. It's great.
Which, I mean, to connect it back to the job hunting, you go, well, I saw a product marketer at Google. He posted about this new feature, and I go to his profile. I'm like, oh, he is a marketer. I bet he's big on social media, and he like never posts and has very few followers. And I go, so you're selling people on the idea that marketing is really important, but you don't market yourself.
And you don't create an avenue for social proof around your capability to market. And it's like, as a marketer, you should know authenticity is such a huge component of what's important to people today. And if you don't have an online presence, how are you going to demonstrate authenticity? Because you don't have an online presence? That's not going to work that way.
What a lot of them say to me, I had a social media manager type tell me about how much they've helped their clients. And I go, I looked at your Instagram. You've posted 5 videos ever to your Instagram. And I'm like, oh, well, I'm so busy helping my clients. And I go, well, no one knows who your clients are, and they could fire you at any time. Like your social proof best follows your personal brand and your own work. And if it's so important that you would charge people a bunch of money to do it for them, why wouldn't you do it for yourself?
Yeah, social proof. All right, well, this has been a lot of fun, and we will figure out our technical difficulties and why.
Maybe I'll sign up for a restream.
Yeah. Thanks.
Get the millennial in.
But being AI first mindset, we do have granola running in the background, capturing a transcript of the 3 speakers. So at the very least, we'll get a LinkedIn article, a blog post, maybe some text-based posts of good one-liners from Dan and John in there. So that's a good example, like using AI in the background to make sure that we captured the content. Because like John said, with the recruiters, they don't like to post, but you're in Zooms all day and doing meetings. You're already creating content, you're just not capturing it. AI is a great way to help bridge that gap.
Yep. And it's to the point now when my CEO is like, why aren't we recording this meeting? How come we're not recording? Because he knows the same thing. He's like, we all hate creating content. And also, like, is there something we can use this for? So he's similar in ethos to Dan's. We just make content.
We just make content about creating content. Look at that.
My content about creating content is content for someone else's content.
All right. Well, thank you so much to the audience for being here today. We are FutureProof You. John, good seeing you. Aaron, good seeing you. As always.
I wish
Have
I
a
could
great
do that.
day.
I'm on a different machine today.
Windows.
Can't do it.
I have to pull my Mac out next time so I can join the crew.
All right, guys. Have a great day.